Good evening, everyone. My name is Marilyn Ahun, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Medicine. And it is my pleasure today to welcome you to part one of the Blueprint for Success series, which is focused on mastering your professional brand and career path. Before we begin this evening, I just want to take another moment to acknowledge the land that we are on and to encourage each of us to learn more about the Indigenous keepers of the lands we inhabit through resources such as nativeland.ca, as well as McGill's 52 calls to action as part of the Truth and Reconciliation process. So tonight's event is hosted by the McGill Black Alumni Association, or MBAA, which is a community for present and future Black McGill alumni to connect, communicate, and enrich their professional and personal lives. As one of the co-founders of MBAA, I really am honored to witness how this association has continued to grow and to be able to participate in this event. This event is part of the MBAA's career offerings for students and recent graduates, and it complements the McGill Black Mentorship Program, which is an initiative spearheaded by the MBAA and designed to foster meaningful connections within the Black community at McGill. So today's session, as well as next week's session on Blueprint for Success, will be led by accomplished professional Marie-Claire Asico. For over a decade, Marie-Claire has leveraged her experiences in marketing, tech, and products to champion digital transformations at the enterprise level. As a pre-sales professional, she thrives in creating exceptional customer experiences from compelling narratives to innovative solutions. Her experience of having lived on 3 continents, coupled with her love of languages and culture, imbues her with a unique global perspective. In recent years, through mentoring and her own entrepreneurial journey, Marie-Claire has discovered her passion for coaching and empowering ambitious professionals and founders to make bold decisions and transform their lives. I'm very excited to hear what Marie-Claire has to share with us this evening. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Marie-Claire.
Thank you, Marilyn. That is a stellar introduction. I'm going to share my screen so that everybody can see. And if ever you don't see anything, please share in the chat. Can someone give me a thumbs up if you see my screen? Okay, great. Well, good everybody. Good evening. Good evening. It's still pretty much daylight in Montreal, but good evening. As Marilyn said, welcome to the first part of the workshop on mastering your professional brand and career path. It is really my pleasure to be here today to discuss professional branding, because today is a discussion I really hope that we can exchange. And also I am making myself vulnerable here by sharing my own professional experiences, my misses, and some of my successes as well. So I hope you're going to be inspired. Again, if you have questions, please use the chat to share your thoughts, comments, questions, and really participate in the activities that we have planned for today. We also have Q&A breaks and debrief throughout the session, so we will have the opportunity to ask away if maybe there are questions that I haven't covered. So why is it important for us to think about and define our professional career? What I want to say is that all of you here know how to do something very well. It may not be something that is unique, but it's something that you have a way to do it that makes you really good at it. At the same time, you may be recognized by your peers, your family, your friends, because you do something great as well. And the reason why I think it's important for us to think about this is because you will always have that tension between the things that you like, that you enjoy doing, and the things that people enjoy for you to do for them, basically. And so if you don't think about those things, people and companies, they will ascribe value to you based on what they want to get from you and not based on what you want to be valued for. That's really one of the first reasons. The second reason, and that's something that one of my mentors told me that I'm going to pass on to you today, is that regardless of the contract you will ever sign in your life, it will be to the benefit of whoever has written the actual contract. all of the contract you will ever sign. They may be to some extent to your benefit, but they really benefit the person who has written the contract. So the least we can do is to define what is of value for us so that when it's time to negotiate, we can actually decide what we are willing to let go of and what we want to prioritize and make that contract that we're going to sign away to someone somewhat beneficial to you as well. The third and last reason really is that the world of work is changing, and it is changing in a way that we've never seen before. We have new technologies coming out every day. It is changing the way that we do work. Trades are changing, skills are changing, professions as a whole are changing. The way to do those professions also is changing. So it's very important for us to kind of sit back, take the time to think about it and understand what we want to do, because we are spoiled for choice and it's hard to keep track. So I mentioned before, we want to define the milestones, but you also want, so the milestones, those events or roles that you want to hit, that you are going to be spread across your path. But you also want to define your anchors, elements that are specific to you, to your vision. And those are elements that, regardless of the job and the shift in the world, they would be only related to you, and only you really can decide if you're willing to enforce them or if you're willing to change them, to update them based on your changing priorities. So studies say that we will spend approximately 90,000 hours at work over a lifetime. That's a lot of hours. Just reading this, like my heart's pumping in my chest. That's a lot of hours. And regardless of us being employees or being our own boss, it is worth reflecting on ways to build a career or a business that will inspire, motivate, and fulfill us. And that's really the reason why we're doing this presentation, this workshop today and the workshop next week, so that you leave inspired and equipped to make choices and pivot in those choices if you need to. So who is talking to you today? You've been introduced to me. I'm going to just repeat some of those elements. So my name is Marie-Claire. I am obviously French speaking, as you can hear my very heavy accent. Hopefully everybody can understand what I'm saying. But call me MC. Most people call me MC. Only my dad calls me by my full name. So if ever you have a comment, just say, just type MC. I was born and raised in Gabon, which is a small country in Central Africa, and I studied there. I moved to France, and then I made my way to Canada for university. I'm still here today, despite the cold and the winter, even though winter is all I can talk about to my family back home. I have lived in Canada for over 15 years now. So it is also my home, because it's seen me grow from an old teenager to the adult that you see today. Like I said, I came to Canada for school. I was supposed to be an engineer, and then to my dad's disappointment, I dropped out of engineering after a couple of years. After that, I did a college degree in marketing, and then a certificate at McGill, and I followed that with a Bachelor of Business Administration. And I work in tech, so it has absolutely nothing to do, but I have that thirst for learning. So I've also completed training in product ownership, change management, and data science. Last but not least, like I said, I have a Bachelor in Business Administration. So my career started in marketing. I have worked all of the roles you can think of and imagine in marketing over the course of 10 years. And during the pandemic, I switched, like many people switched jobs. I switched jobs and industry, and I went fully into the tech world as a pre-sales solutions consultant. So lots of changes. And really, the reason why it's me talking about this today is because I've learned many things throughout my experience. So I'm a Canadian. As you can see, I'm a Black woman. I'm an immigrant. I'm a millennial, and I'm often the youngest in all of the professional meetings that I have to attend. And so I had to learn how to embrace my uniqueness in the workplace and how to stand for myself. Being the first, being the only one, being the only woman. I was shy about it, and then I kind of realized that I needed to stand up for myself. I'm an engineering dropout, like I said. And if you look at my resume and you look at my studies, you wouldn't necessarily see a connection. And that's something that actually has gotten me interviews, but has also disqualified me from interviews. So I've had to learn to not only tell a solid story that highlights all of the hard transferable skills that I've learned for a specific job, but I also had to connect my various experiences from life and work to convey to the interviewer that I had the key soft skills necessary to do the job, basically. The one fun fact about me, I mean, it's a fun fact based on today's topic, is that I've never applied for a job. I mean, I've never applied for a job when I started to work professionally. One way or the other, because I was active online, and for some reason that I'm going to explain after, the recruiters always found my way, or I was recommended by professors from school, from friends, colleagues, former colleagues. So I've never had, don't get me wrong, I did submit and apply to lots of jobs, but all of the jobs that I actually worked at, even the job that I'm in today, I did not apply. So for me, it tells me the power of when you put yourself in a position to be seen, people will take notice. And I hope that everything that I'm going to share with you today, as well as what I'm going to share next week, is really going to empower you to do the same. And it's not show off. It's not you being pretentious. It's that you have a value to bring. And there's only one of you, even if you have a twin, there's only one of you. And it will be, for me, it would be a waste to not just explore what is available to you with the right tools, of course. So today's agenda, we're going to start with building your brand, what it entails, or at least what has made the difference for me. And then go on to how to ideate the career path that would be the best for you. So the first thing here that I'm going to start with is 3 ways to build your brand. And I don't know if I have become student here, but if you look at the way the image about personal branding is made up, you have those terms like strategy, target, and positioning. Those are all business terms, and that's how I want you to think about your career. Your career is basically your first business. I mean, I like to say that my life is my first business and my career is my second business. So your career is a business. Your career has a mission, it has a vision, and you have values that you want your career to convey to people, and your career has a tagline too. And so first, before diving into it, I wanted to get a poll going so that you can kind of tell me what are the different elements amongst the choices that you have on the screen that you want to be known for, or who do you want to be known as? And I hope I'm going to see the results of the poll. It is very fun to see all of the results coming in. So please go. We're close to 50%. I'm seeing, okay, your skills. Okay, your passions. Okay. Great. So your skills is the first thing that you want to be known for, and your passions. There are no wrong answer. That's the first thing that I want to say. One thing to keep in mind is that for the people who have talked about their skills, again, the world is changing. Depending on the skills that you have, you want to remain up to date. So think about it. I would say, in a way, see how you can connect your skills to the passions that you already have, so that you don't feel like you don't feel obligated, I would say, to just keep like be in a rat race where you always have to do the last training, know about the last thing, the last trend. But if you connect it to something that you are genuinely passionate about, it will make it more fun. That's one thing that I would say, because in my job, what makes it easy for me to keep up with all of the trends is just I literally love tech. I love everything that has to do with AI driven, with IT. So when I see an article going in the news, I'm going to read it in my spare time, like in my bed on a Sunday with my cup of tea. That's what I'm going to do. So it makes it very easy for me to just keep in touch with what's going on in my industry in general. But let's get started with your elevator pitch. So what is the elevator pitch? Again, the BCom student probably know about that, but it's a concise statement of your personal brand, and concise because you want people to remember it. So it's a concise statement that tells people who you are, who you want to be known as, how you present yourself, what you value or what you stand for. So, for instance, I value collaboration a lot. So, in one of my in one of my pitches, I actually have that as a statement. And last but not least, it's what you want to do professionally. What is the vision? How do you want to impact the workplace? How do you want to impact the colleagues you have? How do you want to impact the business you work for? How do you want to impact the clients? Because that is something that lets the hiring manager and lets anyone that you will be talking to know if you share a similar set of values. They don't have to be the same, but when I go to an interview and I say to the hiring manager that I really love helping the customer better understand the technicalities of their business needs, and I really thrive in coaching them, they can feel that it's not just something that I'm saying for sure, it's something that I mean. And for any business, they all want to give a great customer experience, so it's something that they do value. But all in all, the elevator pitch, again, is the concise statement. Where you want to use it, you would see that most people would use it, for instance, at the top of their LinkedIn bio. I have it on my CV, at the top of my CV. I have it at the top of my cover letters as well. Whenever I have to, let's say, share a blurb about me to the school or to an organization, that's typically what I would do. Share with them. So you want it to be concise, specific, and memorable. One thing that I highly, highly recommend is you want to have several ones. You want to have ones for those networking events where you are networking with people who are, let's say, at the same career stage as you. You want to have one when you go to events and conferences, when you see clients. So basically have those different level of languages that you use, those different ways of saying the same thing about you, but in a way that resonates with whoever you're going to talk to. And by the way, this is a soft skill, the ability to say the same thing 15,000 different ways over and over again, but making sure that it is tailored to whoever you are talking to. You would not present yourself to a CEO the same way that you would present yourself, let's say, to a director, not because they are not as smart, but a CEO has a different way to process information than a director does, just from the sheer scale of the responsibilities that they have. For example, one of my pitches is that I am a naturally curious strategy and IT professional who is passionate about digital transformation. And regardless of the role and of the industry, I really want to have B2B businesses streamline their operations without compromising on their profit, actually. I was about to say revenue, but their profit. But overall, that is something that I'm gonna say whenever I go to those events, when I want to introduce myself and convey rapidly what is the value that I want to bring. I have different ones again, but it goes back to who are you, basically. It's one sentence about yourself. What do you do or what do you offer? You want to put something in that convey how different you are or how unique, something specific only to you, to your path, your life. And ideally, you want to have a call to action as well. Something like reach out to me on LinkedIn, or let's grab coffee to discuss XYZ, for instance. The second element is your presence. So your presence is important because sometimes depending on how you dress, it's unfortunate to say, but depending on how you dress, on how you talk, on how you walk, people are going to judge you. They're going to have an idea from the impression that they get from you. And so your presence is also something that you can kind of prepare for. The way that I choose to prepare for it is both online and offline. But one way is I like to celebrate the successes of the people around me. How I do that is when someone starts a new job, it doesn't matter if I haven't talked to you in 6 months, if I haven't talked to you in 9 months, even in 18 months. If I know that something great happened to someone, I am going to write a message to you. I'm going to tell you that's great. I'm happy for you because it's genuine. I'm not faking it. I'm not saying that you have to fake it and just pretend that you're happy for other people work or celebration. But if it's someone that I have a good relationship with, even if it's been a long time, I'm always going to reach out and congratulate them in a comment or a message. If I have their phone number, I'm going to send them a text, for instance. The second thing that I recommend you do is you want to engage. By engaging is mainly online because when we talk about engaging, most people are very focused on saying something. You want to say something online. You want to write something online. Your concern are how can I be seen online? But one way to be seen online today is by being there for other people. So engaging with your connections online, and when they share something, leave a thoughtful comment, for instance, not something that just say, oh, that's great. A comment that actually shows that you thought about what you wrote and you thought about what they wrote in the first place. You want to share posts that resonate with you, that maybe someone in your network has shared as well. And basically just show that you're here and you're not just here to take something, you're also here to give and share as well. Because sharing is important. I'm not gonna it's important for you to share. And one way to think about it, going back to that first image on personal branding, you want to position yourself as a thought leader or a go-to person for a specific topic. It could be one of your skills. It could be one of your passions. I typically say to focus on 3 elements that you want to be known for. Not too much, because not too many, because then it becomes hard for people to actually follow. So by being a go-to person, I'm not saying you have to be an expert. Because when I say to my mentees or to my friends to share what they know, they feel like people are going to judge us, to judge them, basically. One thing that I want to say is that, and maybe you've heard it before, you think about people thinking about you way, way more than they actually do. They don't remember. Most people don't remember half of what you share online. They may have seen it today. If you haven't commented, they forgot about it tomorrow, for instance. So people don't think about you that much. They really don't. I don't. I really don't. I don't go about my day thinking about what so and so has posted 5 or 6 hours ago. But in the moment, if what you shared had value for me, I'm going to save it. I'm going to bookmark it and I'm going to go back to it afterwards. So don't prevent yourself, restrain yourself from sharing content that is valuable because you're not an expert. You share what you know. And that's one caveat to this. Don't share what you haven't read. I've talked about it with a few friends 2 days ago. Don't share what you haven't read because today the title of an article can have nothing to do with the actual content. So it's not about being an expert. It's about having taken the time to actually process the information you read online or that someone has told you. You've done a little bit of research on top of it, and you share what you know. As simple as that, someone is going to get value out of it. And I'm sure of that because I have people that I never talked to, past colleagues. They would send me texts and say, "Hey, you posted this like 5 days ago. I loved it." We don't talk every day, but they basically told me that they value the content that I share and that is content that is useful to them. It may be just like be one person, maybe two, but that's the impact that I want to have. And then the last thing is, again, you want to offer your experiences, your experience, just like what I am doing today. I'm not afraid of being judged because I know that my experience is my own. Your experience is going to be yours. And the only thing that I can do is to share in hopes that that you're going to learn something from it. Not because I'm a mastermind of work and job and career, but because I have an experience that is different from yours. And just from that, you may be able, if you are a little open-minded, to learn something from me. And I would learn something from you as well. So don't pretend to know more than what you actually do know. That's I highly recommend because when I see that online, it doesn't give me a great impression of the person on the other end. Because if I know more, or if I'm an expert at something and I see someone who's sharing content, trying to pretend to be an expert, between experts, we're going to look at one another and see through the lie or see through what the pretension that the person is putting forward. So you don't want to pretend. You want to really dive into what you know. You want to package it, share it, and it's going to impact someone. That's my promise. So 2 things to remember is that your brand, your presence, it's only a reflection of how much you give back to your network and how much you give back to the community or the different communities that you belong to. Because it's not just giving, it's not just taking, you have to give, give, give. And I'm just sharing a few examples of the things that I do personally. I'm part of different organizations. I write comments on people, thoughtful comments, or maybe even if it doesn't need to be long, it can be something as short as, "Hey, I think that this post is right for my friend," for instance. I write articles, I tag people on posts, and to tell you how powerful that is, I had one of my professors one of my professors actually emailed me. So he sent me an email because he saw one of my comments on someone else's post on LinkedIn that day. That actually blew my mind because I think I commented on that post at 9 a.m. By 9:15, my professor had sent me an email. Like I wouldn't have planned for it. I wasn't planning for it. I wasn't trying to get anyone to email me, but by being consistent and by bringing value to other people, again, or the people around will notice, the recruiters will notice, your colleagues will notice, your peers, most importantly, your peers also will notice, and you will be valued based on the depth of what you share. And it doesn't matter if you have 15 likes or 5 or even 2, because lots of people who tell me they like my post, they enjoy my post or my content. They actually don't like my post. I'm not judging them for them. I don't really care. I'm sharing because I see something that is useful, and I want my community to benefit from it. Next, we've planned for the first breakout of the day. So hopefully everybody's still connected. Everybody has remembered what I said, because the breakout room is going to be about your professional brand statement, your pitch. So what I would want to do is for you to get into those breakout rooms and just try and craft your statement and see if what you expect to convey is actually what the audience is going to get from it. I'm seeing some people coming back from the breakout room. Can you share a little bit of what happened in the chat? Maybe if you have a statement to share. I shared mine in the chat, another one of mine in the chat if you want to have a look at it. But I'm curious to see the ones that you came up with in a little less than 5 minutes. If you want to copy paste it in the chat. It's a safe, you can't see it. Okay, I'm gonna reshare mine. Let me just go back. Maybe because you were in the breakout room, it's okay. So I'm resharing one of my examples. Can everybody see my example? Okay. And if you notice, it's a little bit of the same from what I shared before when I said that I was naturally curious. It's kind of the same thing as saying that I'm a self-starter who enjoys working at the crossroad of different fields. I still mentioned that I enjoy helping businesses in their digital transformation. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel when you create your pitch. You literally take the same words again and try to find a different way to say the same thing, choosing the right words based on who you are talking to. So if I'm applying the example that I put in the chat would be the example that I would put forward when applying for a senior role or a lead role, because they want someone who's going to be able to start from scratch, someone who does not need to be given directions either. So quick example. Winning this. Oh, yes. Words like driven are really good to use because it really taps into what motivates you, some of your values and your passion. So yeah, I love it. To work for vulnerable communities. Yeah. Adrita, I think it's a great point. You could maybe even refine it a little bit more in the sense of when you say make their lives better, what do you mean? That's the word that's what you want to put forward. So to think you don't, the more specific you can be, the more specific the value you can bring is going to be. So if you say to make their lives better, it's great. I mean, you would make my life better now with a jar of coffee, but that's not what you mean, you know? Being at the top of a CV. Yeah, so yes, you can put it at the top. So what I do typically, I have my name. and then I have my contact information, and then right before the education part, I kind of have that statement here, because I put it at the top of my CV because I want to influence whatever the person is going to read afterwards. So I want them to read my CV from the statement that I put on at the top. Because again, I hope everybody here, when you apply for a job, you actually update your CV based on the job. So when you update your CV based on the job, you update the statement as well, so that you influence the reader who's starting at the top to actually look at it. The way that you wrote it all, so the question is, how would it look like at the top on your CV? So how you would word that. I typically start, it's an I statement. I do this, or I enjoy this. And my CV is basically, I have two columns, but the format does not matter so much. You just want to have it between your name and your contact information, and the actual breakdown of your different experiences. There are no perfect way to have it, but what you want to make sure of is that it's there. It's visible. You can frame it if you want, and it would actually you want the reader to not skim on it, to read it first, because they're going to skim the rest of the CV. Let's be honest. So you want them to read that statement, and from that, read the rest. I'm going to read the last one so that we can move on to the next section. Thrive in creative environments. Mask, man. The customer, the way they should be treated. That's great. The one thing that I would say here is you want to use positive verbs. Something like masking feels like you have something to hide. But if you say that I can put on my best presence to channel my own emotions into treating customers better. So it's the same thing, but it's just the way that you present it. It's not masking as if you're hiding something, or you're doing you are basically suppressing yourself. You are saying that you are channeling your emotions in a way that is actually constructive and productive for the business. So we're going to move on to the next section, because I want us to cover all of the different elements. And I have a lot of windows, so forgive me if I take some time. Okay, network. I mentioned that your network, and you've heard that many times, your network is your net worth. You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out the most with. It can be people in your personal life. It can also be people in your professional life. And the one thing that I want from all of you here today is you want your brand to be consistent. There's nothing worse than to see someone online who's acting a certain way, and then you go to meet them at an event and they're a completely different person. That is truly like heartbreaking for me. So you want to be consistent. And I have something for even the introvert, like people who, if you have some difficulties to actually engage with people, I have what I call the rule of 3. So I don't know if you know, but most people, they engage better, they remember the information better when you give them information as set of 3. So the first thing you want to do, for the introvert, it's a challenge. For the extrovert, you have it, you go in, you talk about all the things you know, make sure that you listen to what people have to say. But for the introvert, what I'm asking of you is, when you go to an event or when you want to reach out to people online, set yourself a goal. You want to talk or engage with 3 people. Just 3 people, not 5, not 4. If you feel like it, you can go on, but I would say 3 people, so that at least if you went to a physical event, it's worth your time. You talk to 3 people. You want to learn 3 things from each of those 3 people. Again, because networking is not about taking, it's about giving. and you won't be able to give to anyone something of value if you don't know what they value in the first place. So you want to learn 3 things from 3 people, and you want to share 3 things about you. That is like the threshold that you want to give to yourself. If it's hard, maybe bring it down to 2. But you want to talk to 2 people, learn 2 things from them, and share 2 things about you. So 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, and I'm not giving you 1, 1, 1. Just 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and start from there. And remember, you need to learn the 3 things about them before you share the 3 things about you. Same thing if you're sharing 2 things or you want to learn 2 things. That is really key. And the other thing is you don't neglect the network that you have access to. You have access to network through school. I mentioned my professor. When I used to be in uni, and then when I will be for my MBA, I talk to everybody. I talk to the professors, I talk to the secretaries, I talk to the head, whoever I can talk to, I'm going to talk to. That's my personality, but it's just to let you know that at school, you don't have to network only with your teammates. You don't have to with your mates, people who are in your class. You have other people at school that you can network with as well. And networking, I'm not saying just like going there and presenting yourself and saying you want something, but genuinely take interest in what people have to say. Genuinely take interest in their lives. If I talk to you, like I want you to feel as though, I'm going to value what you have to share with me. And the next time that we're going to see each other, I'm going to bring back to your memory a detail you shared with me last time. It's because I was listening. I listened first, and then I share something in return afterwards. Any advice on how to introduce yourself? Okay, it's going to sound cheesy. I would say you can use your elevator pitch. One thing that I do at networking event, when people are talking, I just slide into the group. I say I literally, I go in and I say, hey, do you mind if I join? No one is going to be like shocked that you do that, because at a networking event, that's what people are here for. And honestly, if they make a face, you can just leave. But literally, like I went to an event 2 weeks ago. I go in and I say, hey, do you mind if I join? I ask permission. I ask permission to step into the place. And people are always like, hey, yes, please come. Because the thing also is when you are scared to talk to people, or when you are intimidated to talk to people, it shows on your face. Your face is saying to people, don't talk to me. Even more so if you don't smile, like people are going to say it's ridiculous to smile by yourself. But instead of having a concerned face, a worried face, at least have a faint smile. It helps people to feel like you're open for conversation. So honestly, my best advice for an introvert, ease yourself into a group by coming in and saying, hey, do you mind if I join? They're going to let you join and typically ask you like, hey, what do you do? And that's where you have your elevator pitch that you practice, and you're able to say that out loud in one shot. And then from them, the conversation is going to keep going. You won't have to necessarily intervene as much, but at least you made the first step forward. And then the next time that the next group, or the next time, when you get in, you pick up one of the conversation going on, and you try, if it resonates with you, of course, you try to bring value there as well. But basically, you have all of those opportunities. Again, I'm talking about school professors, school employees. You have mentoring programs that you can be a part of. You have different associations. At work, it's a little harder now with everybody being working from home. So you have to be more proactive, meaning that something that I do is I book people for coffee chats. I would typically book 1 to 2 per week with people who are not on my team. They don't even know who I am. I'm just using the repertoire from the company and saying, hey, I'm in this team. I'm very curious about what you do. Again, I'm always projecting. I'm curious about what you do, and I will be interested in learning more about what your team does. And if you have time, we can talk about how my team works. That's it. Um, that's something that you can do as well. You have different communities in Montreal. You have communities based on demographic. So you have the Young Chamber of Commerce in Montreal. You have communities that are based on industry. So I'm part of Women in Tech, Girls in Tech. I love languages. So I am also part of the Mundo Lingo community. And that's why I meet people. And the most important thing, I'm not, how can I say that? I'm not disqualifying or not talking to people because I don't know what it would bring for me. I talk to people because I talk to any people because I truly believe that they have a value to bring. It may be in the instant that I am talking to them, or it may be because I like they know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and they will remember me and say, "Hey, MC, last time she said XYZ, let me connect her to someone else." And that has happened to me. I'm gonna move on quickly to the next part because I have a feeling that I'm going over time already. So the next big part is the 3 ways that you can build your career. And the reason why it's important, it's because again, if you don't sit down, we have too many options. You have lots of passions, you have skills. Everybody's telling you what you should be doing. So I want you to take the time to think about what you value most. And after the poll here, I'm going to share with you how I do that when before I actually go and search for a job. So if you can get the poll started here so that people can answer. And again, there are no wrong answers. There are no wrong answers. You can literally, you're free to value what is of value to you, what is important for you. But it's important for you to zero in on those elements because this is going to influence the type of job that you're going to apply for. And ideally, you want to have that reflection before you start looking for a job. Because if you're not clear on what you want, anybody can ask you to like accept a job that is not aligned with your values. Okay. Sense of purpose and fulfillment. Okay. We have a leader here. I have to say that I'm a bit surprised. Okay. So the poll has ended, and the sense of purpose and fulfillment is the winner of the poll, has the most people who value that. I agree. And what I find interesting here is that it wasn't the case when I first started working. When I first started working, I valued meaningful connections with colleagues. Like for me, work was a continuation of uni, basically. So I wanted to have good friends, good fun, and make enough money to pay my bills. But like I didn't have like all of I didn't think through, I would say. So it's interesting that the group today is actually already focused on purpose and fulfillment. I have a feeling that it's fed by the fact that there are so many things moving that it's harder to see the path forward. So good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. And I think it goes back. There was someone at the beginning of the conversation who said that they were overwhelmed with all of the choices. And I totally understand. Now, let's talk about like the dream job. The one thing that I want you to remember is that the dream job does not exist. It does not exist at all. It's something that you people talk about. They say that if you love what you do, you will not work a day in your life. They say do what you love, and you will love, and you basically never work. All of those things are fun. They're great, but who you are today is going to be different from who you're going to be 6 years from now. It's going to be different from who you're going to be 6 months from now. So what would make you happy, or what would make your life more comfortable today is also going to be different. Which means that unless you have a job that refreshes itself every other year or every other month based on what you are going through in life, that dream job does not necessarily exist. And you may have at some point, again, to ask yourself the same question that I asked before, which is, what do you value in your life? What is most important? Because you may have to compromise on one of those elements moving forward. For instance, for me today, I value the sense of purpose a lot more. And I value having some control over my work as well. So what that means is that if I have a job that gives me lots of money, like a big wage, but it doesn't resonate with the two priorities that I have, I'm supposed to say no. Like if I'm clear-headed, I have my scorecard, which I'm going to cover. I have my scorecard with me. I'm reading the job. I know that this is not the job that I should be taking because it's not resonating with the two priorities that I have right now. Maybe it resonates with who I was 6 months ago or 6 years ago, but not with who I am today. And so I really want you to ask yourself the right questions. Ask yourself questions about your vision for your career. Ask yourself questions about the different skills that you want to acquire or the skills that you want to explore. Because going back, I think it was Sue comments before. It's okay for you to explore. It's okay for you to try something and not like it, because a decision is not a coffin. Once you take a decision, you can get out of it. You don't have to dive through that decision because you made it and people are going to ask, why are you changing your mind? You are absolutely free to change your mind. At the end of the day, you're the only person in your head, and you're certainly the only person in your head when it's time for you to go to bed. So if you have a job that you hate and that you feel stuck in because of what people are going to say if you change your mind, please change your mind. Change your mind. Changing your mind is actually something that, it's actually something that most people don't do, but that most executives do all the time. They change their mind. They make a decision with the information that they have. They make the best decision with the information that they have at the time, and they move on. And if they have new piece of information that comes in, they change decision, basically. So if you make a decision today, you decide to explore and try something, go back to the values. What is it that you value most? Okay, let's make sure that we do not compromise on what we value. And then when you want to explore, it's kind of the interest and the different passions that you may have. That's what I mean by exploring. I'm giving you an example. I'm a pre-sales solutions consultant. I started doing coaching. I'm exploring coaching. I'm not quitting my job to become a coach, but I'm exploring coaching because I've noticed that, hey, when I'm tired, I still enjoy coaching people. I still enjoy helping people use the tools that they have available. I still enjoy helping them make the best decision for themselves. I'm not making the decision for them. Like I enjoy that. So I'm making space in my life to explore those skills. I'm talking to other coaches. I'm reaching out to them on LinkedIn, but you have to make space for it. It's kind of hard you want to, let's say, keep having your job, your lifestyle, but you want to explore something else and you want to combine the two. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because you're one person, you have 24 hours and you have a limited supply of energy. So you do have, when you want to explore something, you have different ways to explore it. They have a say that give a career a try. What it means, giving you an example, I'm a pre-sales solutions consultant. in my job, I help my customers better understand the technical needs, the technical requirement behind the business needs. Perfect. I have an interest in project management, but I don't want to change my job to become a project management. So how am I going to explore that? I'm going to talk to my boss and say, hey, you know what? I want to explore this career, like those skills. So I was thinking of going to the project manager team and volunteer for a project there. I'm still going to do my job, but I want to have room to explore that and kind of see either by shadowing someone or by being the associate PM on a project. That's one way that you can explore. But exploring doesn't mean embracing everything that you want to try all at once. You choose something. Okay, do I enjoy managing projects? Do I enjoy talking to as many people as I would need to when it comes to coaching? So that's one way that you can do it. But ask yourself those questions. And for a job that you have to envision today, ask yourself, what do you want to be the next 6 to 12 months? What would happen if you were in a love? How would you feel to be in a to be in a job that you love? And how would you feel to be in a job that you hate? And then dig in and understand why do I hate that job? Why am I feeling like this? And really go into the whys sequence of asking why to yourself 3 times to really go in and understand what you value the most. The other thing that I do is I do a scorecard. A scorecard, highly recommend. It's a rating system that you use to see how well potential roles would basically stack against your ideal or dream job. We all know the dream job does not exist, but you already have set the values, like what you value the most in a job. You've set up what are the compromises maybe that you are willing to do. And then you create a rating system. My rating system is pretty straightforward. It's 0 to 10. Whenever a business, an opportunity, let's say here the role number 1 meets my expectation, I give it a 10. If it's so and so, I give it a 5. And if it's not, I give it a 0. I do that. I actually do the frame. So I don't put the score on all the roles beforehand, but I do the priorities first, because again, it's very easy to get swept away when you are in the recruiting process. They are trying to get you to accept a job. And most often than not, they may present their best foot forward, but it's not necessarily going to be what you truly desire. So if you don't have that framework beforehand through which you can actually assess a job, it's going to be very easy for anybody to convince you to take a job that is not for you. So one thing for me is, if you tell me like working remotely, no, one example is I want to have 6 weeks of vacation. If businesses, there have been businesses they gave me like 4 weeks. I said no. They said, but you're such a perfect fit. We're going to give you this and that. Like, it's going to make up for the fact that you're not going to have those 6 weeks of vacation. And I told them, I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for you to be willing to accommodate, but the accommodation that I want is actually the 6 weeks of vacation. I don't need to have the wellness fund. I don't need to have the retirement account. What I want at the stage of my life that I am in is the 6 weeks of vacation. But before that, if I wasn't clear on how important vacations were for me, I was going to be swayed and say, oh, like, it's good. They're actually willing to do this and that to give me a wellness fund. Like, I don't have any children. I don't have any person that I'm responsible for. What I earn allows me to take care of myself. Like, I don't need a wellness fund, So they were putting this as if it was an advantage, like a plus. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a plus, just not for me, not for the stage of life that I am at. So do that before you start looking for a job. You have the priorities, you have the values, you do that. And then you go on and look for a job. Once you have the information about the different jobs, the different roles, you give them ratings there. And the numbers are going to tell you the decision you should make. You are free to override the numbers as always, but I really hope you won't, because whenever someone overrides the scorecard, it doesn't really end well. You're going to go through a honeymoon phase of maybe 3, 6, 9 months. Everything is going to go well. And then if you compromise on the quote unquote wrong thing, that's when it's going to start to slowly just kind of make it more kind of difficult for you. Like slowly, it's not going to be something like from one day to the next, but it's just because you are continuously compromising on something that is important for you, it's going to take a toll. So that's why I always say clear-headed, do the scorecard, give the rating or the number of points to each of the top priorities, and then you evaluate those jobs based on that. You may be at a stage in life where the working remotely is not going to be important, or maybe the salary, the wages are going to be important. You do that, but I don't want you to go to the job and they're gonna wow you away, like bring sparkle to your eyes. You're not gonna see the reality of things, and 6 months later, like wonder why did you make that decision? Not going to go too much in depth on the personality, but what you see, the way that I'm presenting today is how I'm presenting at work. Like one of my taglines is, whatever the space that I step in, I bring a lot of spark. Be ready for it. That's what I thought. That's what I tell people in interviews. I cannot pretend to be one way. It's very hard for me. But it's also because I've taken the time to do different personality tests. The 3 ones that you see on the screen are the ones that have had the most impact on me. Also because I've taken the time to think again through the result, reflect, and see if they were if I found myself in those results. And typically they also give you guidelines or recommendations on how you can mitigate maybe frictions that you may have in the workplace, in relationships, towards yourself as well. So highly, highly recommend to do that, because what they are going to do is they're going to tell you the personality type you are. They will let you know about the interests you have, the tendencies you have. Like one of my tendencies is that I organize the information. I organize everything all the time. You ask me to find you an email from 15 years ago, I'm going to find it in 5 minutes. But that's something that it's weird, but in my job, it actually helps me a lot because I remember a lot of information. And even if I don't remember a lot of information, I remember the path to get to the information. So by knowing that, it's also going to help you using the languages in the result from those tests. Is also going to help you to better define your statement, your elevator pitch, because you're going to understand better how you see things, how you see the world, and how you approach it. Gonna go to the next breakout room, which is going to be on your values. And again, which one would you not compromise on and why? Please don't say 2. Don't give us 3 or 4. There's only 1. Because that's also one thing we need to learn is to make one decision for one thing. You need to have one element that's the ultimate deal breaker. Not 2, not 3. You need to make up your mind kind of thing. So hopefully you're going to be able to do that. You don't need to go in and explain to explain in detail why you would not compromise on this, but to think about it and say it out loud for your brain to register the information too. Everybody is back now, I think. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Well, does anyone want to share in the chat what they would not compromise on? Manageable workload. You are very right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Money, yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I want you to remember that one element you will not compromise on, because the employer who wants to hire you is going to try to convince you otherwise. They're going to give you as an incentive so that that thing you don't want to compromise on does not seem that important. They want to try to alleviate that with something else. So keep that in mind. And as I said before, it's okay for that one element you would not compromise on to change, because you are going to change. Your life is going to change. Your life circumstances are going to change as well. Your priorities, your responsibilities are going to change. So you want to revisit that. I would say like once every 6 months or once a year. I have a meeting with myself where I do just that, to just think about what is it that you would not compromise on, because it's also going to dictate the things you're going to do outside of work too. You went. Yeah, exactly, exactly. What I say, for me, the sense of purpose now is very key, because I find I have cognitive friction when I do something that does not feed into my purpose. So it doesn't matter how much work I have, how much money I have, the friction is in my head. So I need to get this out of my system and kind of fall in line with my purpose. I'm going to go through the next slides because I still have a couple that I want to cover, but the interview part is the last part of today's workshop. But next week, hopefully, I'm going to see all of you next week. We're going to cover in depth how to interview confidently. And what we're going to see next week is more on how to like manage how to better answer some of the typical questions in interviews, because believe me or not, regardless of the industry, the questions are, they follow the same format. So and the answers also follow the same format. So if you know the format of the answer, regardless of your industry, you know how to position yourself for the win. What I'm going to focus on today is specifically how you want to prepare mentally for the interview. And so I'm going to start with a quick poll, the last of today. What are the elements? What do you fear most in interviews? And so we're going to have the poll on the screen as well. And why you answer the poll, I'm gonna give you a quick slice of life story. I had an interview and I've been working for like 11 years, 11, 12 years. I still get like butterflies in my stomach or the jitters when it's time for me to do an interview, and specifically when it's a job that I really, really want. So the last interview I did, even though I was referred by someone, it was a year or close to a year and 3 months ago. I was so stressed that before the interview, I lay down on the floor and I did breathing exercises. So, because I was stressed out, but I just needed to take the time to breathe in and out and just calm the rhythm and calm all of the different thoughts that were coming to my head, because I started to feel the pressure to perform. And that for me is the big thing. That's the number one fear that I have. No, it's the fear of disappointing, like the fear of judgment, disappointing the interviewer. For some reason, that interviewer does not owe me anything. I don't owe them anything, but I don't know. That's the thing that I fear the most, to disappoint them, to have had hyped them up with my CV, and then they get to meet me and they're just like, they're not interested. So I totally get that. And that's also the fear of most of you. Okay. Well, I don't know if it's reassuring that like 12 years in, I still have that fear, but I take it as I want to do good. I want to do good. I want the time of the interviewer to be worthwhile. I want to present I want to make sure that I use all the tools that I have to present myself in the best light possible without lying. So I totally get that, the fear of judgment. That's also something that I still struggle with, honestly, because I want to do good. I want the person to like me. And I'm not even a people pleaser, but I want the person to uh enjoy the time that they're going to spend with me. And that's how I try and reframe it. Instead of thinking that person is going to judge me, I think, how can that person actually enjoy the time they're going to spend with me? So I'm the candidate when I get into an interview, and it also helps me to channel my emotions. So I will ask them about the weather, what they've done, or I will pick up something in the background and say, hey, you have this book, or you have this figurine, or you have this thing in the back. And it helps me relax as well, to take the attention, even from myself, off of me and put it back on the interviewer helps me to alleviate that. But basically, those are the two things that you want to do when you have an interview. You want to prepare, you want to research. When you know, I cannot tell you the freedom when you know that you've studied the company, you've studied the role, that you've practiced all of the questions, that you could even recite by heart the job description because you've studied it so much. When you know that you've prepared, it's going to help you a lot because you don't have to worry about the intellectual part of the interview. It's the emotional, but even that, just knowing that you have all the tools, you have the knowledge, is going to make you feel a lot more in control. And you want to be in control when you go into an interview, because sometimes also things will not happen the way you expect them to happen. Like I had an interview, I was supposed to share my screen to have the full screen view. My computer did not want to share the screen. I had 5 directors, senior directors on the line. And I just made light of it, not in the way that was disrespectful, but kind of like as I was going through the process of like making them laugh and just taking them part through, oh my God, my screen is really bugging. I have no idea. I promise you, I'm a tech person. I know what I'm doing. Things like that, just to keep the atmosphere in some way light. So you want to do that. You want to prepare, research the company, research the role, research the common interview. You want to practice, and please do not practice just by typing the answers. You'll be surprised how it's very hard to say out loud something you've never said out loud. Practice and say them out loud. The other thing you can do is visualizing how you would do in the interview, to put yourself in the same spot, the same position, and just breathe in and out in that position and focus on what is it you want to bring to the interview? What is it you want the interviewer to take away from today? You're not going there to pretend. You're going there to be yourself and share your genuine passion or your genuine interest in the role. And you want to imagine yourself confidently answering those questions. And as you do that, it's going to help a lot. One thing, the worst thing you can do when you do an interview, and I've done that, so I know it's bad, is talking to yourself as you were talking to the person in front of you, or starting to second guess the preparation you've done while you are in the interview. It happened to me where I was explaining something, but as I was explaining it, I was starting to question what I was explaining, and it messed up my whole talk track. So one thing that you want to do, mock interviews, you've prepared, you have friends, you have family, engage everybody. I need to prepare for a mock interview. You do an interview with them. They won't know what to ask of you, but they will put you in the situation where you need to say out loud those questions, those answers that you've brainstormed on paper. Focus on the conversation. That's what I was saying about do not start the inner dialogue as you're trying to have a dialogue with the person in front of you. So really focus on what the person said and based on the preparation you've done in the past, you will be able to pivot. You will be able to pivot. And in interview, I will tell you that I've interviewed tons of people, not tons of people, but I've interviewed like 20 people. There are no real like wrong answer unless you're a software engineer and you have to solve something and you're not able to solve it. But when it comes to behavioral questions, there are no wrong answers. But what I'm going to look at is if you answer the question and you do things like this and you're looking down and I don't know, I won't trust your answer. It doesn't matter if the answer is the answer that I want to hear. I would look at your like body language and I'll feel like, why is that person acting as though they're lying or they're not comfortable with the answer that they're giving to me? So it's going to make me question the sincerity of your answer. You want to arrive early, whether it's a Zoom call, a Microsoft Teams call, in-person call, arrive early. You don't want to add the pressure of rushing to the anxiety you may have to be in an interview. I talked about the breathing exercises as well. So again, I went on the floor and I did my breathing exercises there. It really, really helped me. It didn't get it didn't make the anxiety disappear and the stress disappear, but I felt a lot more calm. Like I felt calmer, like approaching the interview. So that's also something you can do. There are other things you can do as well, like to build confidence and to set realistic goals for the interviews. Sometimes you're going to interview for roles that are way beyond your skills level. Don't go in there feeling defeated. Go in there thinking, what I want to do is I want to convince them that I can rise to the level of the role that I'm applying for. So everything that you have in an interview that you want to do in an interview is really focused on preparing for it, knowing the mission of the business by heart, or if you know the news about the business, what they've done recently, all of those elements are great because it also shows that you actually know what the company is about. And they can, if they ask you a question, you have an opportunity to shine. But really, really prepare for your interviews, research the role. Something that I do, I sometimes reach out to other people at the company when I have an interview. I reach out to them and I say, hey, I'm interviewing for a role at your company. I'm curious to know like how the team works, or like what do you think about the business? Like how did your own interview process go? I'll do that with current employees. I will do that with former employees. I go on LinkedIn and I type everybody who's a past employee of McGill University, for instance, and I will go and ask them the question, why did you leave? Who was your boss? And I'm saying that to everybody, but I've never, like when I send emails or text messages to people I don't know, like not text messages, emails or LinkedIn messages to people I don't know, I get an answer 7 times out of 9. They don't know. Like I'm literally coming to them and saying, hey, I see that you have that experience. Can I learn from it? And would you spare 20 minutes of your time to actually talk to me about your experience? I'm pretty sure that I can learn from it. Every single month on LinkedIn, I am emptying out my bank of email every single month because I talk to people often. And I highly encourage you to do the same. You don't need to be premium to do that. But going back to the interview, doing the mock interview is going to help. Saying out loud what you prepared and saying it over and over and over and over again. Like, it's a presentation, an interview. It's going to help you feel more confident. It's going to give you the tools to pivot if need be. Focusing on the conversation. So do not talk to yourself while you're talking to someone else. It's going to mess up your whole flow. Before the interview, if you're stressed out, breathe. During the interview, if you stress out, breathe as well. You can take a pause. Say, hey, I'm going to take a pause here. Breathe a bit. Ask if you can drink some water, drink some coffee. And like people are genuine. They genuinely want you to succeed. They want to hire you. They don't want to go on to another 5 rounds of interview with 5 other candidates. They hope when you come to this interview that you're going to give them reasons to say yes. Like I certainly interview, and I hope the person is going to give me reasons to say yes, because I do not want to sit through another 5 interviews with 5 different people. So that's their expectation, is that you will do your best. Not that you will be perfect, but that you will do your best. So if you need to take a pause in the interview and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I just need to drink a little bit of water," is that okay? No one's going to say no to someone who's thirsty. They will say yes. You take your time, you drink, you take a breath in, out, and then you start talking again. No one is going to die. They're actually going to appreciate that you are able to slow yourself down before you crashed, to slow yourself down and reassess and get started again. And we have the last breakout room of the day, I guess. And this is also going to, I really hope that you're going to all participate in this one, because it's going to help me specifically tailor the session next week as well. I'm going to take some of the elements you're going to share with me as well. So what do you think has prevented you from standing out in interviews? Is it the stress? Is it thinking through the conversation? So having the inner dialogue going in. Is it the lack of preparation? It's a safe space. You didn't prepare enough. It's fine. You have another chance. So far, like, what do you think has prevented you from standing out in interviews? And what would you do differently? If you want to share in the chat, what you think has prevented you from standing out in interviews? Okay. Lack of confidence. Someone else wants to share? It's the last time I'm asking you to share anything today. Lack of research. Lack of research is hard. It's hard because, at least for me, from being a hiring manager, I can see it. I can see it, and I can see that the person is trying to, like, create a story around it. Like, on my end, my personality, I prefer when the person is being straightforward, that they didn't have time to research. But again, even people who haven't had time to research, I want them to succeed. I am serious when I tell you, like, when we do, there's nothing that as a manager we don't like is hiring. Hiring is a pain because we need to go through many candidates. And so for me, I appreciate a candidate, even if the candidate is frightened, can barely speak, but I appreciate that when they speak, they say things that are relevant because they've researched, that they are able to ask me questions as well. Some of them will deflect the question that I ask to them and actually ask me the question, and it would make me think. Like, I want to be able to engage, because as a manager, I'm not just hiring for skills, I'm hiring for fit. Very skilled people do not get hired because they don't have a personality that matches what we're looking for. And you've never seen in a job description a detailed description of the personality for a job. So, like, the one thing you want to remember in an interview is that everybody in the interview process wants you to succeed. Everybody. No one goes there waiting to judge you, to give you a bad mark, to say you're not the right person. No one. I've never encountered anyone in an interview process, both as a candidate and as a hiring manager, who wants the candidate to do bad. No one does. You even have businesses who assign you a coach through the interview process because they want you to pass the interview process. So I hope that at least that fills you with confidence. Because if you pass the hiring, next week we're going to see some of the ways and questions that you may have from HR, which is typically the first call. But once you pass the HR call, everybody is in it with you. You're not against them. You're not facing them. You're trying to show that you can be someone they can rely on. So that's the confidence you need to build. To build that confidence, yes, you need to be able to manage your emotion, the stress, but everybody's stressed. My VP is stressed when he has to go on very important calls. So it's not just you. Even I am stressed when I go on in an interview because I'm thinking about all of the different ways the interview may not go well. So yeah, I'm going to close out today with 6 things. I think we went through six elements today. The first one is your elevator pitch. It's that statement, your brain statement, your personal statement, your professional statement. It's a statement that tells people who you are, what you value, and what is your vision. The vision can be the impact you want to have, the difference you want to make in people's lives or businesses or in the world. You want to have that, and you want to have several versions of that, or always going to use the same words because it's you. You're not changing. It's just arranging the story and the presentation differently depending on what's important for your audience. That elevator pitch is going to come from the your personality. I gave you the example of the personality type, the Myers-Briggs, the Holland Code, and the Clifton Strength. Those elements and reading through the result, it's going to help you to have the vocabulary to feed into your elevator pitch. So really think of those two together on top of your values, the values that you have to think through in order to create your dream job. Because the dream job does not exist. The dream job is the job that is right for you at that moment in time, and that help you address and that address all of the priorities you have in your life. You clear on that. You want to be clear on what is the presence you want to have online or in person. How do you want to present yourself? It needs to be a continuity of the elevator pitch. You cannot be different online than what you are in person. You cannot be someone who writes in all caps and with 1,000 exclamation marks. And then if I see you in person, I can barely hear what you have to say. I'd rather you being timid online and being timid in person. I know what to expect. So be consistent in your identity in how you present yourself. It also is a big testament to how reliable you are, because it tells people that you're not going to change intrinsically who you are based on where you are and based on with who you are as well. And your network, it's your net worth. The rule of three, remember, for everybody, just think rule of three people, 3 things about them that I need to know, 3 things about me that I have to share with them. I've never applied for a job because of that reason. I've applied for jobs that I didn't get, but the jobs that I actually got, I got them not the easy way, but they came to me through my network. They came to me through LinkedIn. They came to me through professors at school. They came to me through the husband of my former colleague from 5 years ago. So you never know who can do something for you and what you can do for someone else, but you need to speak out and also tell people what you need, what you stand for. And in return, what they will do is when they are convinced of the value that you bring, they will spread that value to the people that they know. And you'll be surprised of the great encounters you're going to have from it. But I hope that at least today, you have gained a bit more clarity from me being like the experience that I've had, the failures that I've had as well. But grow confident. Honestly, I'm telling you, we all want to hire you. We all want it so bad. We don't want to go through. So do us a favor and show up with confidence. You don't need to know everything and you don't need to have all of the answers. But next week, we are going to go through the answers in case you are interested. I think we put the link on the event, the link in the chat, but if you don't have it, you can go on McGill, type my name. You have my name on the screen, Marie-Claire and McGill and career. You're going to find the link to the event in person. I hope you're going to come because it's going to be in person. Guys, we're going to have some more fun, meet more people, and have a great evening, everybody. Thank you so much.